Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Ajax, and today I am bringing you a Zefra deck list and replay that I wanted to highlight because a lot of people have heard of Zefra before. A lot of people think it's trash because it's a pendulum archetype with traps in it, and it's a little bit slower of a pendulum archetype. Um, as well as the people who do see it and who have played it only think this deck can go first, and then it's really bad going second. And I really wanted to post this just to show that it can go second. Now, I do like this deck. I'm not a super big fan of it. I was inspired to try the deck from watching Team King of Games, Three Stacks, who's a really respected and really good pendulum player. Wanted to try out his list, and I wanted to make my own assumptions, or not assumptions. I wanted to make my own conclusions after I played it. So I wanted to bring to light that I do think this deck is really good. I don't think this is better than the Odd Eyes and Endymion Magician list that I've been playing. I think that that list is superior. I think it's better going second. I think it's better going first. As got a stronger turn one board. But this deck can grind. Like if you've played against Salamangreat, this deck is Salamangreat on fucking crack, man. Because it doesn't need the graveyard. It just sends all of its resources from deck to extra deck, and then you can use it. It's absolutely insane. So I did have a physical deck profile to show you, but I figured it would not only be easier to do it on Ignis, but my file also got corrupted. So that's unfortunate. So I'm just gonna do it online. So, okay, so getting into it, we've got a huge Zephyr count. Now, if you have seen this list before, this is Three Stacks list. This is, I think, almost card for card. I think I only took out a couple that I didn't want to play. And the reason for this is I really wanted to play this deck through his eyes because I thought this deck was fucking garbage. And he said it was insane. I was like, all right, dude, I'll give you a shot. I'll try it out. And he's got, dude, listen, man. Three Stacks, if you end up ever watching this video, you inspired me to play this deck, and I now have a deck that I enjoy that I have in paper. So thank you very much. Will I be taking this to events? Probably not. Maybe every now and then, but yeah. So I do have the deck. I love it. So Zefrath. This is my one of my favorite pendulum cards in the game now. This card is a 5 skill, but that's irrelevant. It sends any Zephyr card from your deck to face up extra deck. So the only hand trap that stops this is Ogre. That's the only one. This can't be Ashed, nothing, right? And then the scale that you sent from deck becomes this card's scale. So this is the 7 scale that you're almost always going to be sending. This is Nui. This is also why this deck doesn't splash that well into Endymion because you really want your 7s. You could maybe play some other weird variant, but yeah. So this is the one you're going to be sending. This is like your engine of the deck. Whenever it's summoned or whenever it's destroyed by battle or a card effect, you can you can add any Zephyr spell or trap to your hand. So this card's crazy. You're penning this every single turn, and you can resolve this not only in your turn, but your opponent's turn as well when you pop your own Nui. Um, Here's Raxi. This is your low scale that you want to either get in hand. You don't mind opening this. You only really need one, but you don't mind opening it because it's a low scale anyways. Um, and you always want to use your Zephyr to send if possible. You really want a low scale in hand, so if you draw multiples of this, it's perfect. Okay. Um, Zephyr Exciton. Okay, so this is in the Satellar Knight package. So we run two Denebs. This deck really needs pluses that you're going to see later. So we run two different normal summon packages to make sure that we can actually, fix our scales. So this one, we can play these because not only are their pendulum effects good to pop up face up or face down spells, traps, monsters, etc. These are lows and high scales, so you don't mind opening them, so you can make a play with that, and then you can also search either one off of Deneb. Next, we play Zephyr Wendy. This card is great. If you send your Nui to your extra deck, you can just normal this instead of your like Deneb or your Magdalene combo. Add Nui back to hand so when you pen summon, it doesn't have to go to your EMC, and then you can make a Link monster as well. Remember, this deck is not like some like crazy like pen 5 draw infinite like Endymion or any of that bullshit. Even though that shit's really good, that's not what this deck does. This is the Salamangreat of pendulums. Literally, it's cool. It's better looking Salamangreat. Zephyr Core. This card is sometimes good to send as a 7 scale. Its effect is relevant to special, and also it's just a level 4, so it helps you make your rank 4 plays. So that's about all it is. This card's it's there. It's a low scale. And then going on to like our generic pendulum cards, we play 2 Darkworm. This deck needs pluses really hard, and it really needs low scales. Also, keep in mind, all the Zephyr cards have effects that say you can only pendulum summon Zephyr cards. Now, that almost never comes up as a negative, but you never ever have to deal with that if you have gate 0 in the field, because gate 0 has no restriction on pendulum. Next we play Mageline and the Pudding Sensor combo. Now you're probably thinking, why the fuck are you playing Medulchus? And dude, I'm not gonna lie, one of my favorite parts of playing Zefra is normal summoning Magellan, special putting Sisor, going into Gallon Granite, and my opponent's like, "What are you playing?" And then you search Zefrat because this guy is a motherfucking rock. Yeah, you heard it, boys. Magellan specialist, don't activate its effect because you're not using it, obviously, and on top of that, it locks into Medulches. You literally are using this as your rank 4 turbo. You go into Gallon Granite. This is a rock. This is what you search, and people scratch their heads and they laugh. So next you play one Kako. Now you play this card simply as a combo piece. You're not playing it as like the go second effect actually has come up for me, but you're mostly playing this special and then make a VF. And this is a searchable one of. That's why we only played. Well, we played Nibiru. It's searchable by Gallon Granite. If you can't full combo and all you can do is make a rank 4, set up your plays. Like sometimes making the Nibiru is great because you're only ending on 1 or 2 monsters on your field regardless. So using this and having this in hand is a great backup plan if they pop your Nui. So I already explained the Denebs. This is a normal summon. It's level 4 for your rank 4 plays. It searches a lower high scale. It's just a card. Next we play Gamma. We also play Lambda in the extra deck, so this card is pretty much always live. Now one thing that's really cool about Zefra, this is one of the few Pendulum decks that does not care about Utopic Zexal. You play 6 main deck outs Utopic Zexal. You play 3 Gammas, and you play 3 Imperms. These are your ways to stop Zexal. Okay, so this is why this deck is pretty unique. Now, is it better than the deck that I posted a couple days ago? I don't think so, but I still think this deck's really good. And if you're not a big fan of like the Endymion cards or the Magician cards, I definitely would recommend trying some variant of Zefra because this deck is really interesting, especially if you like more. Next we play 3 Providence. This is your Rhoda for the entire deck. This card is insane. Like it searches any card that says Zephyr on it. It's not well, not any. It has to have Zephyr in the name. It's not an Ayatamaya. But um, yeah, you can search this card, or you can search anything with this card. This is what you search off of Nui to search whatever you want. This card's crazy. Next we play Oracle of Zefra. This is your field spell. It adds any Zephyr monster to your hand. And what's really unique about this is you get to use each of these effects based off of the cards that are summoned. So remember how I said the searchable one of? So if you synchro summon, you get to put a card from your deck on top of your deck. So you get to tutor for any card in the game. It can be your Nibiru, it can be your Kaku, it can be a Cyframe Gamma, and then you use Croco Dragon to draw that card. There's actually a Cyber Sign FTK of this deck. It's really fucking fun, but it loses to one hand trap. So obviously it's not that good of an FTK because it loses to hand trap, but it is hilarious that Zefra does have a Cyber Sign FTK. Um, Next we play 3 Dragon Shrine. Remember the pluses are really important. So being able to send your Dark Worm to get your Gate 0 is like really important. Also, this is another reason that I wanted to put this deck list online. Is it's easier to see all the cards, and not a lot of people know about this deck. So if I can show you the pictures with the names, I figured it'd be easier. Next, we play Foolish because not only can this send the Dark Worm that is so important that I talked about, but you can also send Zephyr Core for Zephyr Core's effect. So the monster effect is if this card is Pendulum Summon or sent to the graveyard, you can target one Zephyr card in your Pendulum Zone, except Zefra should all Zephyr Core special summon it. So it's a great way to unclog your scales. So sometimes you have to use your Zephyrath as your low skill for one turn, and like some random high skill like an Exciton or whatever. So you can send this to the graveyard and special out that Exciton, and now you can use your Zephyrath as your high skill for the next turn, and you can make a rank. So this card's really good. So that's why we play the 4 different ways to Foolish a card in our deck. They're never dead, literally never dead. And you play a 50 card list. So if you're opening more than one of this, hopefully it's the Foolish and the Dragon Shrine. If you open double Dragon Shrine, at least you have a follow-up player. Because once they clear your board, because it's really easy to clear a Zephyr board. The thing is they can never OTK you because you have too many interruptions. So you can always use this effect again to get your second Dark Worm. Into the graveyard, special summon it, normal, and then you can make a Link 2 play, and then you can pendulum. Okay, next we play the Rhoda. This searches our Deneb. This also can search Thubin. Now it cannot search Exton because it's a fiend, but you can summon or you can search the Deneb, normal it, and then you can search the Exton if you need to get that. Next we play Terraforming. It's just a 4th copy of Oracle Zefra. And for the traps, we play the 3 Imperms because it's great against Exile. but then we also play one of each of the Zephyr traps. Now, this is where it was a little bit different because I think three stacks plays more of these. I don't like that. I don't think it's good going second to open more than one of these cards. Now, there's not a whole lot of ways for your opponent to negate your plays because it's not like you're like activating a shit ton of effects. Like I'm not Pendulum Summoning Harmonizing activating effect is special from deck. Like I'm literally sending a deck from I'm sending a card from my deck to my face of extra deck, and then I'm like probably passing, to be honest, in a situation where they have infinite negates. And then I'm gonna use my counter traps because they can't respond to those. They're spell speed 3. Most of the spell speed 2 quick effects. And then I can go with my plays. Like I'll probably search like Yang Zing, or if I dude, opening this card is fucking nuts, dude. If they have a shit ton of negates on the field and you can't activate the effective Nui to search, like this card's insane. So yeah. Nine Pillars is a great card. I could even see you cutting one of these cards to add a second one just so you can open a second. Zephyr War is great. You can search this on your opponent's turn when your Nui gets popped, and then you can activate it from hand, assuming you have two Zephyr cards on the scale. So it serves as like an extra searchable interruption on your opponent's turn that you can immediately activate. So this card's really fucking unique, not gonna lie. And then Divine Strike. This is the card that you see everyone splash the Zephyr engine into decks with. So they'll add this card to be able to search it off Nui, or however it is their Divine Providence or whatever. And this is just your counter trap. Negates literally anything. Spell, trap card, or monster effect. You banish one Zephyr in your face effect deck and negate the activation, then destroy it. It's like, dude, this card negates literally everything. Alright, then going on to the extra deck. Your link monsters aren't that important in this deck because a lot of times you're only penning one or two. So getting a bunch of arrows isn't always that relevant, and you can also add the cards from your face of extra deck to your hand, similar to like what Electromite used to serve as for pendulums. So like I don't know, like, you don't need a shit ton of link twos. Like you focus a lot more on like your sinkers and executes in this deck, but obviously link monsters are good. Having arrows for pendulum summoning is good. We play one Lambda. This because we play the Gamma package, and we want our Gamma always to be live, even if we're going first. Another thing about Gamma, by the way, in this deck is you have so many starter cards that are spells. 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 of your starter cards are spells. Think about that. Your Zephyr effect, Ogre, that's another spell. Okay, Gamma? Like, what are they going to do? You know what I mean? Like, you have so many starter cards that are spell cards. So, Gamma's insane in this deck, but you do want it live going first if they didn't hand trap you. So, this is a great card to make. IP Masquerena, I mean, there's not much to say about this card. It's just a generic link 2 in this deck. You're not really using it that often to go into plays, but on your opponent's turn, you can always like make in Metaltron or whatever and just have a big beater on your field. Appaloosa, you're only making this if you can summon your game out of your hand going first. That's pretty much the only way you're ever going to have 4 materials to make this, but if your opponent tries to hand trap you, you're essentially getting a free Appaloosa on field, which is pretty good. Next, we have one Access Code Talker. This deck does not have that many ways to just beat over monsters. Access Code Talker is your boss. Like, your best card in your deck is a 0/2600 wall. Like, this card is essential. So if you are looking to play this deck is super budget, except for Access Code Talker and Appaloosa. Obviously, there's like the only like really expensive cards in the deck. Everything else is super cheap. We play one Redoer. This card is just great in current games. That's all I'll have to say about it. Calamities, you can make this going first, obviously. You can search the Kaku, stack it on top of your deck. You draw it with Croco Dragon, special it, and then you make VFD. This card's absolutely bonkers. Keep in mind, this deck summons VFD on its 5th summon exactly, and it has no way to negate Nibiru. Most of the time, you're only summoning like 2 or 3 times in a turn, so it's not that big of a deal. But Calamities, if you do go for this play, you are opening yourself up to Nibiru. Gallon Granite, we talked about this earlier. Any rank 4 combo play that you have, you make this guy. You can search your Zefrath, which is the best card in your deck outside Nui. Abyss Dweller, generic rank 4 Tornado Dragon. You make this more than you think. I think that bad players don't utilize this card enough. There are so many decks where they play continuous spell cards, or they have like one trap card they really need to resolve. So yeah, Tornado Dragon is just a crazy card. Absolute Dragon. Sometimes you can actually make this guy using a Synchro 7 play. You special out your like donut from Pendulum Zone, and then you can make Absolute, which go into your Vortex play. So I mean that's good. Croco Dragon, this is your combo piece. This is your Rockade. So let me read this card. While this Synchro card is on the field, your opponent cannot activate effects with monsters of the same original attribute of Yang Zing monsters. Same original attribute. Zefra monsters are Earth monsters. This says anytime I play against Adamancipator and I have this on field, they can't play the game. So I love this card. So this is the deck. Let me go right into the profile, or not the profile, the replay that I have featured. I only have one replay, but the reason I did is because everyone knows that Zefra can go first insane because they can set up like 3 or 4 interruptions using their traps and effects. So that's not the issue. The issue is people say that this deck is bad going second. So I wanted to showcase how this deck can actually go second. So let's go right into that. So here's the replay I wanted to show. I'm playing against Numeron, and this is specifically why I wanted to show this because this is a deck that can play into Numeron if that's a lot of people in your locals or your area are playing Numeron. This is a way to play Pendulum and play into Numeron pretty well. So this is why I chose this replay. So this guy activates set rotation. So I was interested, and I see Numeron and I see Magical Meltdown. So I'm like, okay, he's playing Invoke Numeron. So interesting about Magical Meltdown. It says when this card is activated, you can add 1 Alice to the Invoker. So don't think that just because you don't have an Invoker in the deck, you can't activate this card, because this is a can effect. So this card is going to get sent to the graveyard from Zefra, because I can activate them. So he activates Summon Calling. I don't have any hand traps for this, because Gamma only hits monsters. He makes 3. He only does 3 because he plays around Nibiru. Now, what I don't understand is, this card says draw 3 on it. So what he's So this is going to be a Zexal, an Imperm, and a Veiler. Let's see how I play through this. So I drew a dead card. I drew Nibiru, and I'm like, okay, I can activate the Meltdown because it's a can effect. So I activate that. I want to get it out of the way. he chains Zexal. Perfect fucking bait. Perfect fucking bait. Alright, dude. You chain your Zexal away. Let's go. Gamma. Yoink. Those Zexals off the field negated. So I have monster effects this turn. Also, now that I have these two, I can go for a big Link 4 play later on. This can help me. Okay. So Zefra, search best card in my deck. I normal the Dark Worm. I have no normal targets in my hand. This is going to get Pendulum Summoned / in the scale. So, yeah. This is just going to get my Gate Zero. Activate. Okay. He's dumb. If he... he should have Impermed or Veilered this card. But, so I get the low scale, so now I'm going to get the Pendulum. The Zephyr effect, I send my thing. And then I'm going to Pendulum Summon. 1, 2, 3. So what's cool about this is I get to chain block. So chain link 1 to search, chain link 2 to make this a tuner. He Veilers anyway, I'm like, damn, alright, whatever. All good. I make Croco Dragon. So now I can stack the Kaku on top of my deck, and then I can draw it with Croco Dragon. Now he has an Imperm here, so he's going to Imperm the Croco Dragon. Okay, so he Imperms the Croco Dragon. I'm like, shit. But then I realized, so you get to draw with Croco Dragon, it stacks if you synchro, and I was like, wait, the Xyz effect. If I Xyz something, I get to draw then discard one. And I have a card in hand for discard fodder. I'm like, I'm going to stack the Kaku still. So the Kaku goes on top of the deck, I just don't get to draw it. So I'm like, okay, let me just go make an Xyz. So I made Tornado Dragon. So I'm like, busted. Activate Oracle Zephyr effect. So I send the out of my hand to draw the Kaku. I have a card in the EMZ, so I'm going to get special my Kaku as well. So now that I have something in the EMZ, I special Kaku, and then I can go for a foreplay. I went into the Zefra Link 3 specifically so I could boost my boy Access Code Talker. Make 53, and then I go for game. So this deck can play through interruptions, it can play through hand traps, it can play through Zexal. That is why I wanted to feature the deck. Do I think it's the best Pendulum deck right now? No, I don't. But if you're looking for something that's semi-budget outside the Imperms, this is a great option. You could easily throw in Veilers instead. Now, one thing that is unfortunate is you really do need Access Code Talker in this deck. Like, it is mandatory. Like, you cannot play Boral Sword in this deck. Access Code Talker is way too good. So you will need to dish out. But if you do have some generic cards laying around that you already play in Pendulums, like if you play like Endymions or whatever, you probably already have access to this card. In which case, the rest of the deck is insanely cheap. Like these cards are so undervalued for what they do. This deck is really unique, really fun. I really like it, and I do think so. Thank you for watching the video, guys. I appreciate it. And my next video is going to be once again looking at Odd Eyes Endymion Magician. I am really excited to continue playing that deck. It is my favorite deck. I went to locals yesterday. We had a 16-person event. I played against mostly meta, some rogue, but everyone was pretty competitive. I got top four out of 16, which I was pretty happy about. I had a record of 3-1. Um, my one loss, and I remember I was playing this without Revolution Dragon. I played that version without Revolution. So it was not the prettiest. There were definitely some brick games that happened, but I had a lot of fun playing with the new list. Time Pendulum Graph was easily the MVP. Since I didn't have Revolution, I added in a second Time Pendulum Graph into the deck, and I wanted to focus mostly around activating that in a Time Star and maybe like one or two Omni Negates, and it was absolutely insane. There were games where my Time Pendulum Graph literally popped six of their cards, like going into like two or three turns. Like it was absolutely ridiculous. So I had a absolute blast playing that at locals. I haven't played Paper Yu-Gi-Oh in a very long time, but I wanted to showcase this because it's unique. My next video is gonna be going back to that. Also, I am interested in making a magical musket profile. That deck is also a really fun, unique deck that no one really seems to talk about or play, and I think it's really fun and it's really competitive. It's really normal summon reliant, but if you guys are interested in a magical musket profile, please let me know in the comments below, and I can definitely make that happen. This channel is definitely more geared towards pendulums as it's my favorite summoning mechanic, and most of my decks are pendulum decks. But I do want to make content that isn't just pendulum. So if you are interested in Magical Musket opposed to only me posting more of those Odd Eyes and Divion magician profiles, let me know in the comments below. And thank you guys for watching. Peace.